Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm out here once again, and I have Dolly out here, who's going to be playing the role again of the helper dog. So Dolly has been doing really good in her own transition into the home, and housebreak is going great. And my wife is actually doing almost all the work, and she's doing a fantastic job. So Dolly, again, as a pet, but also as a helper, coming out here helping other dogs. And so here, see, I just to get a little bit of verbal there, just to get her to kind of try to get her to relax a little bit. Hey. So not getting like pushy, so that pushiness again, I can tell too from, her coming into our home, how much she wanted to be helped. She wanted, and again, that's probably why she ended up in the shelter in the first place, was just all about emotion, okay? That's why tinier dogs, Chihuahua, temptation is to really overly emotionalize. And that can be a problem because that starts to empower the dog. Things get out of control. So here it's all about connection, okay? It's all about, you saw me in the video, actually I was holding Dolly up, but again, I was also advocating control, leadership at the same time, and that's important. So here, same thing out here, about connection, okay? I'm already starting to use it a little bit in the helper role. So in this exercise here, we're going to be actually creating closer proximity between Cooper. So Cooper is here for some refresher training. I talked about that in some other videos. It's been a couple years since his original training, so things have kind of slipped a little bit here. And so he's here for, again, reactivity issues, control, okay? So this is about getting things back on track. So this exercise here is going to be about that. Again, on the last exercise with Cooper and Dolly, you'll see that I didn't, get Dolly out of the crate and get them kind of, a little bit aligned, a little bit closer. In this video, I'm going to be doing that. So the goal here is, I'll be moving around here, just doing the one-step method, laying kind of like the foundation. So it's going to be just very intentional with, again, not allowing Cooper to invest. And here's the thing too, when you watch my videos, even out in the street, people go crazy seeing how I'm bringing, assertive control over the dog, and how I'm, not allowing the dog to fixate because I'm in the middle of a relationship problem. But here's the criteria, okay, in terms of the level of control and breaking those, those levels of fixation. It's a level of agreeableness, okay? It's how a dog's trying to push beyond that, based again on how I'm, bringing a level of intentional control onto the dog. So that willing to kind of push through it. That's the criteria, that's how you can tell. Now as the dog starts to, again, just start to be very agreeable. See, if you watch the videos, you'll see the agreeableness increase, keep increasing. Then, the level of control starts to diminish. So if it corresponds to where you're at in the relationship. There's kind of a increase, and it can look kind of tyrannical depending on the current state of the relationship, but then there's always change through that decrease. So it's a temporary process, but it's really meant to change people. So understand, when people look at the videos, they want to paint a wide brush, but I break it down. If you watch my service dog training videos, the whole entire 3 to 4 months, you'll see that transition go from, interaction-based, influence and control, the main ingredients in that first part of the process. As change happens, things transition to responses, okay? So motivating responses. So, but the majority of trainers, guess what they do? They don't do it that way. They jump in using treats, using motivating agents, and that's a problem, okay? Because it's just superficial response, and what happens a lot is these dogs don't change. They continue to hold control even while they're looking fantastic, moving around in the training environment. So you have to be aware of there's a process, there's a way forward to make sure you have a predictable, intentional outcome. Okay, that's what the system, and I keep talking through this because the mainstream, understand what's popular, so you come in and watch my videos, it's going to look a lot different. Okay, it's going to be like, why is Dale this and why is Dale that? So I want to be able to talk through this so people understand what's going on. So even that level of control bringing over a dog, understand, that will reveal the cards. That forces the cards down. So there's a level, there's a baseline, as I call it, intentional control. It's not meant to choke dogs or anything like that. Okay, it's meant to, assert intentional control. The dog understands intent. and then that's going to reveal. But then I work off of that baseline, so there's always some give and take. Okay, the dog gives, I give a little bit. So there's always a little moving off. So understand sometimes when you see the choke chain or the collar, you know, oftentimes there's just enough there, okay, to maintain control, okay, to keep it up a little high in the dog's neck, and I'm working off of that, okay. And then certain reactions, understand, you see certain reactions of dogs, you'll see certain reactions of dogs which can be challenging for people because it's mind and body. A lot of times with some of these dogs, there's a huge amount of stress on these dogs because of their experience of relationship problem. And so in that transition, you know, you can see certain reactions from influence control happening, but there's always accommodation, which means I'll slow it down, I'll just hold my ground, and it's like the tug-of-war team that collapses. That's kind of how you want to see the method, where I'm bringing their mind to a point of agreeableness. So it's not about physical force that way, where you're just trying to get really over the top with dogs. So this is where people get confused, or they get, you know, or they bottom out with some dogs. It's because it's not lining up. It's got to be the right language, okay? You know, I talk about that. So now I'm going to bring out Cooper, and what you see again is just me kind of take my time circling around here first, just to lay the foundation. Same thing here, you're gonna bring them out. Move to my right. I'm just nudging here. Throw a pressure collar on, but see his tail's wagging, okay? So this is just about control. Endorphins are kicking off here a little bit. So here, when I'm doing the same thing here, you notice I'm working an angle here. I have a baseline, so when he tries to invest towards Dolly, I'm applying a little bit more influence through the leash and collar to break that connection. I take a little off, so I want that inwardness. So I'll take one step. As I take a step, again, it's good control through the leash and collar at the same time. You don't want to break that. You don't want to, so you want to maintain the stability that way. That level needs to maintain. Same thing, I take another step. So this is just about taking like one trip around here. You know, if you watch the videos, Cooper's doing a lot better. Even here, he's more relaxed, okay? I can sense that in his body. He's not as tense, okay? Because I'm doing the same thing all the time with him, okay? So he understands intent. But notice how I still have him turned to an angle here. That's like me saying, now, he's a lot more agreeable though, even with the level I'm putting on him here. So, because really what I want him to do here, I just want him to relax, okay? Just to let it go. Because the messaging, hey, I'm in control. You're not gonna, hey, stop. You're not gonna assert, you know, your mind isn't gonna wrap around Dolly that way. You're not gonna do that, okay? Because that leads to problems, because it's that level, okay? That level, so where the mind goes, the body